Hi there movie fans, and welcome to another edition of Movies and More. Now, I saw the BAFTAs the other week and I watched a guy called Robert Aramayo taking the acting award. Now, he was up against some giants in the business. The nominees were Leonardo DiCaprio, Ethan Hawke, Michael B. Jordan, Jesse Plemons, Timothée Chalamet and Robert Aramayo himself. So I was really intrigued as to who this unknown actor is. Well, unknown to me, that is. And who it was that managed to beat all these stars. And I found out he's in a movie called I Swear. So I set about to find this, watch it and review it. And basically it's about a guy called John Davidson. And I do recall when I was younger seeing a documentary back in the 80s called John's Not Mad. John, in real life, was diagnosed with Tourette Syndrome at a young age. And the movie follows his story from the younger age before the affliction and how it affected the rest of his life. You have to remember that back then, no one really understood what Tourette's was, and to most people, the outbursts were unacceptable. But that's more because of ignorance, or better put, it was more down to a lack of understanding. The film starts with John going to meet the Queen and then plays back to his earlier life with John during his school days at an age of around 11 or 12 and into his teens. At this moment in time, everything is rosy. He has a talent for goalkeeping in the school football team. In fact, he's good enough for a scout to come and watch him. He chats to young girls at school and asks one out to the cinema. So he's just a normal lad, really. And then all of a sudden one day, while reading in class, he develops a tic. Now at this time, everyone thinks he's messing about. And I mean, we all love this school clown, don't we? Someone who makes us laugh, you know. But at home, at the family table with his food, he can't stop it, and it's getting worse. And his parents think he's just being silly and messing about. But then he starts spitting out his food too in an uncontrollable state. His mother, who's played by Shirley Henderson, is trying to understand. His father, played by Stephen Cree, though, is not amused. He's embarrassed by the situation, which is probably through a lack of understanding, and eventually he walks out on the family as he can't cope with what's happening. The film then moves to when John was in his early 20s, and he bumps into an old school friend called Murray. Now Murray invites him round to his house, where he meets Dottie, Murray's mum. She herself is also ill, and they have a bond and become friends. And Dottie then offers John accommodation at her house and takes John under her wing. And then along the way, John needs to find some employment, and he applies to a local community centre, which is run by a guy called Tommy Trotter, played by Peter Mullen, played excellently by Peter Mullen. Tommy takes John on and they become good friends. Tommy is someone who will look out for John, as is Dottie. The movie follows John's journey as he tries to come to terms with his illness and tries to control it so he can enjoy his life. And it all follows the twists and turns in his journey. And remember, as you're watching this, it's a true story with many ups and downs. This is excellently acted by Robert Aramayo, and you can see just why he won the BAFTA. He is very believable. And then there's the supporting cast, which is really good too, with Maxine Peake and Peter Mullen, the standout performances. Now I have to say, I was laughing out loud at some of this film with the shouting and the swearing that John does. Some of the things he says are quite outrageous and funny. But here's the thing, I wasn't laughing at John, I was laughing with John, as he tries so hard but can't help himself. And I think this is a great educational film as much as it's a great movie. We do understand this illness more now, and John is a big part of that learning amongst others. It's sad, it's interesting, and it's funny. It's well made and a must watch if you're not too offended by some very bad language. And some of it is very bad, so be warned. If you have children with you when you're watching, be careful. But it's definitely educational too. Later on in life, John tries to help others with Tourette's. He is probably the one person who understands these other kids more than most, as he's experienced what they're going through most of his life. As he tries to help them, and he also tries to educate them and their parents and others on how to understand what they're going through. I really think this is a must watch. It's a tough subject, but done in a very caring way. John eventually won an MBE for his efforts to increase understanding of the condition and helping families deal with it. He has, in fact, become an ambassador for the understanding of Tourette's. Anyone who sees this will end up with a much deeper understanding about Tourette's and what a burden it is to people who have it. This movie is compassionate and empathetic about the subject in a very thoughtful way. It shows you how difficult it is to fit into society and being isolated. And we see him looking for a non-judgmental environment, which is helped by Dottie and Tommy. I would rate this a good 8.5 out of 10, which is a very high rating for me, as I'm not easily pleased. And it's such a lovely movie, considering the heartbreaking subject. And John's a lovely man who's struggling through adversity, being judged by others for most of his life. Please give a like if you can. Thanks for watching this review. I hope you liked it. And maybe, or hopefully, it's inspired you to go out and watch this great movie soon. We will have more reviews coming soon, and if you get a chance, take a look at our previous reviews. And if you can, please subscribe, that would be great. See you next time.